Winter White Bear Lake has a way of bringing out the best in people. We'll tell you all the charitable ways the residents are making a difference.
We got a blast of winter reality this year, and there are some warnings when it comes to shoveling. We'll hear how to keep your heart in check, and we'll talk with an officer going above and beyond to keep our roads safe.
Welcome to Lake Area Beat. I'm Greg Peterson.
And I'm Tracy Menarchuk. Is this deja vu, you may ask? Yes, we're out here near Ramsey County Beach again, but a great deal of activity takes place here year-round, beginning with the annual event that draws thousands to this beach.
Take a look.
One and done bucket list, get it done.
I was looking at the water a little bit ago and it looks cold.
Here's our team captain, John. He is such a great guy. He's an athlete in the Special Olympics, and he's our biggest motivation here. It's all for him and his team.
That star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave. 3, 2, 1, jump!
Olympics and we love superheroes, so what more do you want? Eh?
Lily's our friend's daughter, and we jump for her every year. We raise $17,000.
It was fantastic. I've never done it before. It was on my bucket list. I needed to do this. Jumping into a box of needles. Every molecule on my body, but it was worth it.
I get it vicariously by watching all of these people scream. It's a ball, but I would never be able to do it.
This is actually our 10th year. We've raised $41,000 total as of now.
The Polar Plunge was another success, and Greg, it gets bigger every year and we always have a good time. Another annual fundraiser is White Bear Lake's Barely Open.
Ken Gallo is at the event chair, and thanks for being here, Ken. Can you tell us about yourself, Ken?
Well, longtime resident of White Bear Lake. I'm a member of the White Bear Lake Rotary Club, which is the main event sponsor for this event, and that's kind of how I got going with the Barely Open. And I'm in the hospitality business, so events are something that I do as part of my career as well. So.
Well, tell us, how did the Barely Open come about then? Where did you get the idea, and what's with all the evergreen trees?
Sure. Well, it came out of a brainstorming session at a Rotary meeting once about 12, 13 years ago, and I had been involved in a similar event out in Wayzata called the Chili Open, and so I brought the idea here to our club. We were looking for a fun community event and something that would also help fund a charitable cause. And that's kind of how the event was born. Since I came up with the idea, I guess I had to be in charge, and that's how that happened. And yeah, as far as the trees, what we do is every year, right after Christmas, we go around and pick up trees from all of the tree lots that have unsold trees. And when we set up our course out on the lake, which would be right over here, we actually drill about 200 holes in the ice all around our golf course and put these Christmas trees right in the holes. And so when you're out there on Saturday playing in the event, it's just not, open lake. You're actually out there like you're on a real golf course.
Ken, it seems like there's a lot of community spirit involved. What's the atmosphere like for people that haven't been there yet?
Yeah, good question. That's actually community spirit is the main thing that we try to foster here. And again, most of our volunteers come out of our Rotary Club. We also have a committee, Barely Open committee out of White Bear Events, and just a whole bunch of people, just really great, White Bear Lake community spirited folks. And so that, it just is such a fun atmosphere. And we have sponsors in tents with heaters and beverages and little food samples and that kind of thing. So it's just kind of a carnival atmosphere. It's not just like people hitting the ball around. Winter Carnival Royalty shows up every year, so they add all that chaos to the event, and it's just a really fun time.
And you said fundraiser, so we're raising funds. What are we raising funds for, and how do you do it, and how much?
Sure. Well, we raise funds like most fundraisers. We sell a lot of sponsorships, event sponsors, hole sponsors, course sponsors, and we, of course, charge people to golf. So people register and pay to golf, and people make donations, so kind of like you would expect at any fundraiser. The nice thing is when you actually donate cash to the food shelves, they can buy $8 worth of food versus if you just donate food. So, based on that equation, over the 10 years of the event, first 10 years, we've been able to raise enough cash to buy over $1 million worth of food for the local food shelf. So
that's amazing.
Quite impactful. Yeah, it's been great.
I'm sure this event impacts your life on a personal level. Can you share that a little bit with us?
Yeah, it sure does. It takes a lot of time. And, logistics of any events are challenging. Events outdoors in Minnesota are even more challenging, and events outdoors in Minnesota in the wintertime are even more challenging. So, that's it. It's a lot of time. Work on it pretty much year-round, but it gets pretty intense last 3 months before the event, and just, pulling it together, like I said, with the weather factors and getting volunteers and working on the ice and all those kind of things. And so from a personal standpoint, you've got that. But I suppose the main thing is it's just real fulfilling, once the event is over. And you see what you've accomplished. And we've done some good things and brought the community together. So, yeah, I feel pretty good afterwards.
Well, that's good. Thanks, Ken, for being here. Thanks for talking to us about the Barely Open.
My pleasure.
We're going to take a quick break, but first, here's Sergeant John Betty.
Most people like the convenience of having packages delivered to their doorstep, but porch pirates are on the lookout for your treasures. I'm Sergeant John Vetty with a few simple tips to protect your stuff. 30% of Americans say they've had packages stolen, and the problem seems to be getting worse. Some criminals will actually follow UPS drivers and steal packages from house to house as they're delivered. A simple way to prevent stealing is to have your packages delivered to another location, like your office. Some companies offer lockboxes where users can go for pickups. If you have a trusted neighbor, ask them to take it in for you if they're home. You can also arrange drop-off times to assure you'll be there when it's delivered. You may consider installing a camera. Police departments can post videos of thieves in the hope of identifying them. Taking these few easy steps can make sure criminals don't get your goods. I'll see you next time.
Welcome back. White Bear Lake EMT Chris Voss made a trip of a lifetime when she traveled to Bavaria in the fall and experienced many adventures with the Red Cross.
She talked with us recently about this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, how it came to be, and how it changed her life.
I learned in Bavaria, in Bavarian, that if you have no idea what people are saying or what they're talking about, but they want whatever, you just say, genau. Genau. Yep, and just nod your head and all's good.
Chris Voss's trip to Bavaria was a memorable one, filled with fairy tale landscapes and German characters.
It was definitely a trip of a lifetime.
But more than a pleasure trip, Chris served as a kind of ambassador, volunteering over 70 hours in 3 weeks with the Bavarian Red Cross.
EMS is different, and to the Germans, it is very interesting to them that we don't have doctors on our call, and that paramedics and EMTs work pretty much autonomously.
The trip was over a decade in the making. Her host, Bernhard Klein, came to White Bear Lake from Bavaria to learn and observe fire and EMS procedures in 2009. Ron Hawkins organized a party in his honor and recruited Chris for help.
He called me up and said, "Chris, you have to come." And I said, "To what?" And he told me, and I said, "Why is that?" And he goes, "You're the only one who knows any German. We have a German guy coming here."
Chris and Bernhard kept in touch over the years. He continued to urge her visit to Germany. In addition to first response calls, she took part in mountain and water rescues and prepared a presentation to show Bavarians the tools and techniques of White Bear Lake EMS. She even gained notoriety when an article in the local paper featured her story.
Rosenheim is I think it's about 90,000 people, and there I was in a color picture in an article about me, and the being able to see the Bavarian Red Cross.
Though she spent much of her time working, she took time exploring, overcoming some fears to take in all she could.
When I hiked up the mountain in Kufstein, Austria, in the Tyrol region there of Österreich, was really cool. I was terrified of the heights, but it was really, really neat to be able to do that. That was a really good day.
Chris, who's of German heritage, says she recognized a lot of herself in the German people.
I sometimes take a while to warm up to people, and a lot of the Bavarians, especially if they didn't speak a lot of English, would just kind of watch me for a day or so, and then all of a sudden it was like, I'm okay, I can be a friend, and things like that, and I do the same thing.
She did make friends, adding about 15 to Facebook. Though they didn't always understand each other, speaking a mix of German and English, there are some universal elements that bridge all language barriers, and until she can return someday,
Servus.
And Chris Voss joins us to talk a little bit more about her experience and also some medical advice on when it comes to shoveling.
Thanks for being here, Chris.
Well, thanks for having me.
Chris, it sounds like you made a lot of new friends in your trip.
I did. It was a wonderful time getting to run with the Bavarian Red Cross and then tour around and be a tourist and see all sorts of wonderful things. It was great.
Yeah, it sounds like it was amazing. Tell us about the picture we have.
Well, the picture that you have is next to our CPR bear that we did a few years ago. One of the nights I did a presentation of what EMS is like in White Bear Lake to the Red Cross in Rosenheim, and they presented me this hat and a mug and a number of other things and said that they wanted to see it on the bear when it got snowy. So I brought it and waited until we had lots of snow and stuck it on the bear and took a picture. So here I am with my hat as a nod to my colleagues in Germany.
Well, that's awesome. What a great opportunity for you too. Now, you talked about a lot of snow. We have a lot of snow. Let's talk about shoveling.
Okay.
And getting rid of some of the snow and doing it wisely maybe.
Yeah, we want everyone to be safe when they're out shoveling. The American Heart Association says that it does have an increased workload on your heart. So, especially when you have colder temps mixing with the exertion, it can cause increased workload on your heart, and you want to take your time. There's like 4 or 5 different tips on their website to look at. the biggest thing is to just take breaks. You want to listen to your body, slow down, and you don't need to lift everything all at once. So the next one is if you're able to snow blow, do that instead of shoveling. And if you do have to shovel, use a smaller shovel and try and push the snow or lift small amounts. It's a lot safer for your heart to lift small amounts many times than it is for a large amount. And we don't want anyone to cause undue stress on their heart, especially if you have any cardiac issues already, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, those types of things. You don't want to increase the workload on that. You know, of course, we're in Minnesota, so you want to dress warm, dress in layers. You know, we've all got layers on today to stay warm. Wear your hat. Because, you know, when you're talking about hypothermia concerns, most people, it's when they die of hypothermia, it's because their heart fails eventually. So you want to try and stay warm so that doesn't happen. And then, you know, listen to your body. If you're becoming short of breath, if you're feeling any signs of like a heart attack, chest tightness, pressure, pain, things like that, back pain, jaw pain, those types of things, you want to stop immediately. And it's probably another tip, a good idea to have your cell phone in your pocket, because those are the moments when minutes matter. You don't want to collapse in your driveway and have nobody there to help you. So have your cell phone there, take your breaks, and, you know, be safe.
And that brings up a good question, the Pulse Point app, am I saying it right, for your phone?
Yes, Pulse Point AED.
Okay,
Absolutely.
What is that?
Okay, it's a wonderful program. It's crowdsourcing resuscitation, basically. The Pulse Point AED, anyone can download it. They go to Google Play and find it, and you can take pictures of AEDs in the community, and the locator will pop it in, and I'll check it out and say, yep, it's there, and then it'll show up. So if anyone should fall into a cardiac arrest where they need a defibrillator, you can just take out your phone with your location on, pop up the app, and it'll show you where the closest AED is, tell you where it is, and show you a picture of it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we're starting to gather that in the White Bear Lake area now. We know of roughly 150 AEDs in the area, and we have maybe 50 or so loaded into the app. So if anyone wants to help, please go to Pulse Point AED, load it up on your cell phone, and if you see an AED in the community, take a picture of it for us, and we'll get it in there. The eventual hope is to marry that with the Pulse Point Responder app, where anyone who knows how to do CPR can sign up.
Wonderful.
And then if someone were to collapse, they would, in your locations on, you'd get a text that says, can you help today? And if it says yes, it'll say where to go, and then pop in a picture of where the closest AED is.
Wonderful.
So it's a really cool program, hopefully, that we can get going in White Bear Lake, and, you know, save lives when those minutes and seconds count.
Yeah, that sounds great.
So
wonderful.
So Chris, the automatic external defibrillators are a good thing, and having public access to them is even better.
Yes.
But that isn't all of it. We still need to do CPR, correct?
We do. If someone were to collapse in front of you, if you go to see if they're okay and they're not responding to you, and then they're not breathing normally, you want to call 911 right away, and you want to push hard and fast on the center of their chest. And you have to do it and keep going, get people to help you, because that means their heart's not working, and we have to become their heart. Until they can get whatever is causing their heart problem fixed at the hospital. You can't wait, because those are the moments when people start dying. So we want to make sure that people are pushing hard and fast in the center of the chest, and they're calling 911.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for stopping by and sharing your story. We appreciate it, and thanks for the information.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chris.
Coming up after the break, a White Bear Lake rookie is making quite an impact.
We'll tell you how.
Life could be a dream, sweetheart. Hello, hello again. If I could take you up in paradise, of course. If you would tell me I'm the only one that you know. Life could be a dream, sweetheart. Hello, hello again.
Welcome back. The White Bear Lake Police Department recently hosted a drug evaluation and classification training for agencies statewide. The purpose is to help officers better detect drug-impaired drivers.
Unlike DUI training, the drug evaluation is a more advanced national certification. Lieutenant Don Morose, who led the training, says there's been a huge upswing in impairment in driving over the last 20 years.
Yeah, I really love doing this, and as many years as I've been doing it, and people kind of look at me like, you're still at it? And I'm like, yeah, I'm still at it, because I love the training piece of it, and I really kind of have the passion for removing impaired drivers.
There were 33 agencies represented at the training, and White Bear Lake Police Officer Pat Swenson represented the White Bear Lake Police Department. Welcome, Pat.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Now, how long have you been on the department as a police officer?
Police officer coming up on about 2.5 years now.
But how long total?
About 7.
7 years?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Now, Pat, we learned a little bit about the training that you just went through. What did you learn yourself?
Oh boy. So the normal course itself is the length of a regular college semester. It's 72 hours of coursework in about 2 weeks. We learned a lot of things. We learned how to take vitals on people, their blood pressure, their heart rate, how certain drugs can affect those, their pupil sizes, more standardized tests, much like we do for all of our drunk drivers. I mean, there's 2 or 3 more that we can do for drug impaired individuals to see what narcotic category they're on, if it's a depressant, if it's a stimulant. So I learned a lot. It would have been easier to take it all in if it was a little longer than a 2-week course.
Yeah, it sounds pretty intensive.
Was it everything you expected it to be, or so you knew it was going to be what it was ahead of time?
A lot of studying.
Yeah.
Are you certified now?
No, I won't be fully certified until I go to Jacksonville, Florida, the first week of February. We have to do 12 certification tests that are monitored by a drug recognition evaluator instructor. So.
Now, Jacksonville, Florida, is that because we're standing out here in the snow? What is the reason you guys are going someplace else? And
that I don't know. I honestly don't know what to tell you. It'll be a nice break from the snow and the frozen tundra. But.
And so you're going as a group then?
Yeah.
So the whole 33 agencies?
No, they're actually going in 2 separate groups. The first group goes down, I think, next week, and then my group will go down the first week of February. So.
Okay.
And then is there some sort of testing after that? I know you already had a test, right?
Yeah,
and
there's a general knowledge exam sometime after we get back. Okay. And then after we pass that, we're done, and we're completely certified. So.
Wow. What's been the biggest challenge for you as a police officer?
Probably the fact that there'll always be people that we can't help. You know, we can't save everybody, we can't help everybody. There's always going to be the lawbreakers out there that we unfortunately can't catch. And when you get hired as a police officer, at least I felt like Superman. So I was like, well, yeah, I'm going to save everybody, I'm going to help everybody. And
change the world.
yeah, it's not how it always works out. So.
Do you feel like being here at White Bear was the right choice for you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think I'm going anywhere.
Well, we enjoy having you here, and congratulations on the first part of the test. You did a really good job. I know you had a really high score. We won't say what it was, but you did a good job.
Thank you.
All right. The White Bear Lake Area Educational Foundation supports programs and services in District 624, helping students in need.
One of the services is The Closet, housed in the Adult Learning Center and established in 2011, providing head-to-toe apparel for families. We visited recently and found out how this volunteer-run operation is changing lives.
There has always been something very special about the community of White Bear Lake, and I have, in all of my years of working here, have never really been able to put a finger on what it is.
Retired teacher Mary Dolly spent nearly 40 years teaching Spanish in White Bear Lake.
At this moment, we are really very full.
It's a career she cherished in a community she loves.
It is truly a community, And when people are in need, they step forward in so many ways. It has always been that way, and I continue to find it to be.
The White Bear Lake Educational Foundation and its Angel Fund support this space in White Bear Lake called The Closet. Clothes, including winter apparel, are donated by the community and help district students in need and their families.
We have beautiful hats.
With almost 9,000 students in the district and 10 communities served, Executive Director Don Hank says there are 150 students facing homelessness this year alone.
You can imagine that those very basic needs that we so often take for granted impact a child's ability to even take in information when they're worried about just their very security. It definitely impacts their learning ability.
Principals, counselors, and psychologists refer students, and they visit the closet by appointment. Dolly, who serves as coordinator, works with 20 volunteers who are willing to come in whenever a family is in need. It's a service both women say is personally fulfilling, and Dolly recalls insisting a mother of 5 without a coat take one for herself.
She hugged me. I didn't think I was ever going to get away from her, but it brings tears to my eyes every time I think about that story.
The foundation, which is separate from the White Bear Lake School District, provides many other services, including teaching grants and scholarships.
I love this. I really like this whole area. I love all these
I know.
And has provided over $70,000 in financial assistance to families through the Angel Fund. It's the generosity of the community, they say, that cannot be overstated.
It's unbelievable what one person can do that will make an impact. And there's lots of room for help here at the foundation and at the closet.
If you'd like to make a donation, visit the foundation's website, and to donate clothes, contact staff via phone or email and arrange a drop-off.
And we recently did White Bear Lake Area Educational Foundation fundraiser at the police department for gift cards and stuff. So they're going to use that for a variety of things. So thank you to the citizens of White Bear Lake for doing that.
Okay. Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of Lake Area Beat. I'm Greg Peterson.
And I'm Tracy Minarchuk. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.